Hi everyone, welcome to Embroidery Garden. I'm Reen Wilcoxon and today I'm going to show you how to stitch my in the hoop sew at home mug rug. So while I'm going to tell you about this, you can pop on and start saying hello, where you're from. But this mug rug is going to be free today. Well, it's going to be free for a while, but it's going to be on Embroidery Garden's website under the free designs. Give me a little bit to get it uploaded. But let me tell you a little bit about the mug rug. It's a pieced mug rug, meaning each of these sections is a separate piece of fabric. It gets stitched together in the hoop. It's going to be quilted a little bit on each end. We'll do the lettering sew at home, and it has an envelope style back, meaning there are two pieces of folded fabric, and that's how we turn it to the right side. So let's talk about what we need to stitch this. So some of the supplies that I like to use, I'm going to use a cutting mat later on. I'm going to use a straight edge. I'm going to use a rotary cutter. I'll use a pair of scissors, my favorite tool to poke the corners and seams out. I'm going to be using a clapper. This is Angela Wolf's mini clapper. It's going to be perfect for this size of a project. I'll show you how to use it later on. Now I'm not going to use tape, but I know a lot of you like to use tape. When I do use tape, I use this medical tape. It's the best tape there is, in my opinion. I teach a lot of classes, I see a lot of tape, and this is the best tape, I think. So let's talk now about what we're going to need to actually stitch the mug rug. Now, when you download the files, you're going to get various embroidery formats to stitch out the mug rug, and you're going to get a list of the supplies that you need, how big to cut the pieces of fabric, and other things that you need. There will be no written instructions. The video that I'm doing right now will serve as the instructions on how to stitch the mug rug. So, some things that we're going to need. Well, first we are going to be using a 5x7 hoop. If you use a larger hoop, that's okay, but it needs to be at least 5x7. We're going to use some lightweight cutaway stabilizer. A lot of you that do my designs know that I like to use a poly mesh no-show. I've just gotten some new stabilizers. This is brand new to me. It's from the Gypsy Quilter, and that's at thegypsyquilter.com. And this particular one is Hoop Easy Sew-In Mesh. So I'm going to be trying it out on this design. It's very similar to the other products that I've used. If you don't know what a lightweight cutaway mesh is, it's very soft. This isn't stiff. It's almost kind of see-through a little bit. It's thin. But I like to use this type of stabilizer in all of my bags, wallets, and those kind of things that I stitch. So I've got that hooped. We will need a piece of batting. And I like to use Pellon 988. It's a thin batting. It's a polyester batting. Do you absolutely have to use this? No. On this particular project, you could use Warm and Natural. That would work just as well. You're going to need a few fabrics. One, and again, all these dimensions will be listed in the instructions. The PDF file. We're going to need a square fabric that makes the center of the mug rug. We're going to need 2 strips of fabric. We'll be using 2 additional pieces of fabric. And then we have our 2 folded pieces of fabric. These pieces would be folded wrong sides together and the fold pressed. And this is what forms the back of the mug rug. Now, I'm also going to be using a little mat to press on. This is one of my in the hoop designs. It comes from my ironing pad set. This is the biggest size in it. I'm going to be using a little mini clover iron. Is this necessary? No, you don't really have to have it, but this is going to allow me to be able to press all the fabrics while I'm here at the machine instead of having to get up and go over to my iron every time. So we got everything that we need. Let me move this back over here. And I'm going to turn the camera a little bit so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Go ahead, ask questions if you want, and later on I can go back and answer some of those for you. I just want to get this kind of set up so that you can see what I'm going to be doing. I've already got my design loaded up onto my machine. There we go. Okay, so we're ready to get started. I'm just going to, I've got my laptop set up over here. I just want to check it and make sure that everything looks good on the camera before we start. I don't want to start and then you guys can't see what I'm doing actually. Okay, I think that it looks good. So again, stabilizer is hooped, nice and tight. Got my batting, it has to go down first. Now let's say, for example, you weren't using a 5x7 hoop. Some of you don't have this size of a hoop. You can use a larger hoop. But if you're using a larger hoop, let's say 7x12, maybe 8x12, you really need to center the batting first. All the pieces in the hoop designs are cut larger than they need to be, but it still needs to be pretty much centered. So if you were using a larger hoop, an easy way to do it is to fold the batting in half, use the two lines, these two notches that are built into the hoop, line the fold up with those notches and unfold it. Now, of course, you don't need to do that in a 5x7 hoop, but if you were in a larger hoop, it would make a difference. Okay, so I've got the batting down. That goes down first. Here's my design brought up on the screen. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to load the hoop because the first step stitches directly onto the batting. It's a placement line. We need to know where to place the first piece of fabric. Now, I'm using black thread, and the only reason I'm using black thread is so that you're able to see it better on the camera. Normally, if I'm doing a project like this, and this is my kind of my color palette, I would probably use white or cream, something that kind of blended in more with my fabrics. But I'm just using black, so you'll be able to see it. So here's my first placement, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that little tail off, just because I am using black thread and it might show underneath my lighter colors. So I'm going to take the first piece, which is a little square, and I'm going to place it inside the placement, right side up. Okay, I need a strip of fabric, and again, the PDF file will tell you all of these fabric dimensions. It will be placed right side down, directly on top of this piece, and I'm lining up the edge of the fabrics right there. Put it back on the machine. Now this is a step that some of you may want to tape, and that would be perfectly fine. I'm not going to tape right now. I'm just going to go ahead and stitch. This design, it takes like 9 minutes of stitch time, so that's not bad at all. And the best thing is it uses up a lot of your scraps. You shouldn't have to run out and have to buy anything to stitch this. Okay, that step is done. Let's pull the hoop out. Okay, now we have to take this fabric, fold it down, and when you fold the fabric down, don't leave like a little bubble up here. Fold it against the stitching. Now is the time when I'm going to use my press mat. So I'm just going to lay this down, get it nice and flat, take the iron, it's on, and I'm just pressing the seam here so my fabric lays nice and flat. Okay, put my iron back on the little stand because I don't want to burn my table. The next piece is another strip. It's the exact same size as the strip I laid down previously. It goes right side down, right on top of the fabrics, and I'm lining up this top edge. I'm going to go ahead, put the hoop back on the machine, and stitch this next step. So you see it's going pretty quick already. Let's see, I'm going to look and see if anyone has any questions coming in. Okay, I see you're already asking about the design. I'm going to have it up on Embroidery Gardens website, embroiderygarden.com, in just a little bit. I'll be uploading this video to YouTube so you can watch and you can remember how to do the steps. So now that this piece has gotten stitched on, we're going to fold it up. Again, fold it up against that seam. I'm going to get my little iron and I'm going to press that seam down. When you work, you want to be nice and neat. Make sure everything is pressed well. The next piece of fabric, and as you can see, this is how it's starting to be built. We've done these 3 pieces. Now this is the next corner we're going to work on. My fabric that I'm using is not directional. If you look at it, you can see that some words are going the right way, some words are going the wrong way, some words are going sideways. This question comes up quite a bit in the hoop designs if you are trying to use a directional fabric. Let's pretend this is directional. The next step would be to lay this piece right side down and line up this long edge. But let's say you're concerned, you don't know how the piece is going to end up if you're placing it correctly. Let's audition it. All you have to do is place it per the instructions and then fold it over to see if it's going in the direction you like. What I like to do is fold under maybe like a 1/4 inch with my hand. I know it's going to go here. I can look, I can tell if I like that or not. If I don't like that, maybe I will like it with this edge along the fabrics. Again, audition it, fold it over. It will make about a 1/4 inch seam. So I can see, do I like that or do I like it the other way? Personally, I liked it the other way. So I'm going to line up this long edge with that long edge. Now notice it's not going completely to the end of these fabrics. That's okay. Just center it this way. Go ahead and put it back on the machine and we are ready to stitch the next step. And I'll look and see if you have any questions coming in. Patty just asked if you could embroider on those 3 pieces before you continued. So let me get it off the machine and I'll show you exactly what she's talking about. How's it going in the neighborhood, Patty? Patty is one of my old neighbors. So she asked the question, after these 3 pieces were done, if you could embroider on that. Well, I would wait until you had this piece on, that piece on, then embroider there. Why? Because if you're doing something, maybe you're going to put something really dense here, this fabric may move and shift a little bit. So I would wait until the whole top was pieced before I changed out the lettering. You know, if you didn't want to, you could skip over this lettering. You could add, a design here, or maybe an initial there. You can do something like that. But I would wait until the whole top was done first. So this piece now is being folded over. And again, I want to make sure that it's nice and tight against the stitching. And I'm going to use my little iron to come in and make sure that it is pressed down really nice. Okay. The next piece needs to be the piece that's going here. Again, this is not directional. These scissors are going every which way. So I'm just going to place it down along this long edge. And again, I'm just kind of centering it along that edge. I'm going to put it back on the hoop and stitch the next step. So you can see you're going to be able to use a lot of your scraps stitching this mug rug out. Mary is talking about my lace flowers. Yeah, if you noticed when the video first started, I am wearing one of my lace flowers. I showed my lace flowers yesterday when I was with Eileen Roche from Dime. You can watch that video on Dime's Facebook page. Dime is Designs and Machine Embroidery. It is up there on that page. You can watch it. Eileen was talking a lot about hoops, her magnetic hoops. Now that we have this, I'm going to turn this over. And I saw that Kathy Jolly is on. Hi, Kathy. Nice to hear from you. Folded the piece over, and I'm going to iron it down again. A lot of you know that I also use that kind of mini steam iron. It's about this big. That could go here in the hoop. I chose to use the smaller iron today just to kind of save my space. Okay, so now the top is completely pieced together. The next step, it's going to do some stippling in this area. The next step, it will stipple in this area. I put a stop between the two steps because some people, depending on your fabric that you use, you might want to stipple one of the two areas using a different thread. Now, I'm not going to use my black thread to stipple with, so let me take that off. What I like to use is this thread. This thread is from Wonderfill. It's Wonderfill thread. It's Invisifill. It's a thin thread. It is 100 weight. And so what it's going to do is, if you can see this up closely, it's going to, it makes the stippling less noticeable, which is kind of what I like. To me, stippling goes in the background. I really don't want the stippling to stand out because I've used printed fabric. It's a little bit busy, so I want my quilting to kind of blend in with the background more. So I'm going to change my thread out to this Invisifill thread. Like I said, it's 100 weight. Go ahead and quickly thread the machine up. And I'm going to give you another tip too. I know this is just doing a little bit of stippling here. We're not really quilting something, but let me give you a little tip on if you were actually quilting something that had, you know, a top, batting, and had a back piece on it. You know that when you start stippling or any other type of quilting, sometimes on the back, and if you had a backing on here, you'd get the little knot back there. And don't you just hate it because it just ruins the look of your quilt that you're working on. So to avoid getting that little knot, what you do is you lower your foot. The needle is down into the fabrics. I'm going to raise it back up again. And now I'm going to reach over here and I'm going to grab the bobbin thread. Okay, so here's my bobbin thread. I know it could be hard to see, but this is my bobbin thread. This is my top thread. Let me grab both of them again. Smooth out my fabric a little bit, put the foot down, and the machine's going to start. Again, it's doing some stippling here, and I'm just going to stop so I can cut those threads. If you were doing actual quilting on a quilt, you would probably want to tie those threads off. You could tie your threads off and bury the knot between the layers. Okay, we got Connie from New Mexico. Thank you for joining. Here's Connie in Houston. You haven't seen it done that way. It's easier, makes it easier. Well, thanks. I do try to do everything a little bit easier. Jacqueline is asking what thread is best for the bobbin. I'm just using 40 weight right now, just regular embroidery thread. Again, now it's going to jump over here. I'm just going to go ahead and let it start to do the stippling. I'm not going to bring the bobbin thread up again, but if you wanted to, you could certainly do that. Right, Janice says she does the same thing and she doesn't have knots on the back. Again, this is going to have a back. We're not doing our stippling through this item, but if you were doing a quilt or something, you would definitely see that stippling on the back side. After this is done stippling, it's going to stitch the letterings Sew at Home. When I designed it, I put a stop after each word. So if you wanted to, you could change thread colors after each word. I'm going to stitch this out just all in one color today. Makes it a little bit easier. So I'm just going to get rid of my thread. And I'm going to put my black thread back on. It's real easy to thread this machine. And like I said, this only takes about 9 minutes of stitch time. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think I probably have my machine set at default. So it's going about as quickly as it's not going as fast as it can go. Here's another tip, and this is something that you see all the time when you do classes. So you notice I threaded the machine, and if you can look and see, you see the thread back there? Everybody, and I mean everybody in class, wants to grab that thread and pull it and move it and, you know, fix it up. You don't have to do that. You can just go ahead and start, and the machine, it's going to take that thread and it's going to, you know, pull it down and move it. This is something that when I do events and there are educators there, educators tell people all the time, you don't have to grab that little loop and pull it through. Let the machine thread itself and just lower your foot and start to stitch. So it's going to take a few minutes maybe to stitch out the word sew. So I'm going to look and see if there are any questions coming in. Hey, we got people from, looks like Costa Rica, Illinois. And Terry says, thanks for showing that you cut your thread from the top and you pull it from the bottom when you change threads. I do that all the time, or at least I try to remember to do it all the time. Here you got people from Nashville. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. The design will be up on Embroidery Garden's website soon. So it's doing the word sew right now. Then it will do the word at, and it will do the word home. Give you a little close-up of it. Does anyone have any questions so far about anything that I've done? Lots of people from lots of places are coming in. Hi, Joanne. Nice to have you here. Thanks. So what I'm going to do is right now, I've gone ahead and I've activated the design on my website, embroiderygarden.com. Don't all run there at the same time, okay? The design is going to be up there forever. You can download it whenever you want. And again, the instructions are going to be this video that you're watching. So give me a little bit of time after it's over to get it uploaded to YouTube, and those will be the instructions. Janice wants to know about, was the stippling only on the left side? No, the stippling is on both ends here. It's just a little bit of stippling to add a little bit of texture to the mug rug. Again, this is a 5x7 hoop, so I think the majority of people should be able to do this design. So right now it's finished the word sew. I'm going to let it go ahead and just use the same color thread to stitch the word at. If you wanted to, you could change thread at this point and do each word in a different color. I kind of gave you that option because we have so many scraps and you could use any colors that you want. So I wanted you to have the option to be able to change the coloring of your lettering at each of these 3 points. Alice wants to know, is my machine always that far away? No, it's not. I did do it just for the video so that I have room here at the table to show you things, and that the machine would be towards the back. I actually had to move my machine. Those of you that saw my video of my sewing room, know that this machine, I have the Brother Luminaire, that it is in the corner. I was able to get it into a corner and have enough room for the arm to move when I'm using that big hoop. Caroline wants to know if I have batting on the back of the stippling. Yes, when we first started the design, after I hooped the stabilizer, batting was put down. A placement line was stitched and the first piece of fabric was placed. So there is batting. Okay, did the word at. I'm just going to go ahead and let it stitch the word home in the exact same color. After this is done, we only have one more step to the design to stitch. Ruth Ann says, yes, it is hard to get people to stop grabbing that piece of thread and pulling it after you've threaded the needle. Doing that, I mean, a lot of people like to pull a really long piece out, and that could give you more problems than if you just left it alone. Hi, Jan. Nice to see you. Michelle, oh, I wondered if it was going to get a little blurry if the when the machine started sewing. I have it on it's an old sewing table, and I have the camera set up on a really stable part of the table. I think I may have to, next time I do a video, move it off the table onto something else. So I like the feedback. D. Lee wants to know where you find the design. The design is free on Embroidery Garden's website, embroiderygarden.com. It's under the free designs. Okay, I realized that the machine, it's blurry when it's stitching. Let's see if I can't do a little something to kind of fix that. Give me a second here. It's still finishing up the word home. It has to stitch the M and the E, and it will be done. I'm going to try and move the camera to another table and see how that goes. Okay, I think that's going to be better. We're a little bit further away from the machine, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and just leave it the way it is. I'm not going to move the camera again. If it was blurry for you before, it shouldn't be now. And it's almost done stitching the word home. Let me kind of give you a close-up of the finished mug rug here. I see a lot of likes coming through, a lot of thumbs up. Thank you. I do hope that you enjoy the design and that you stitch it. And if you do stitch it, I'd love to see you post it on Embroidery Garden's Facebook page. If you have an Instagram, go ahead and post it there with the hashtag #SewAtHome. Embroidery Garden is on Instagram, so if you want to follow me there, you can do that. Okay, it looks like the lettering is all stitched. Let me go ahead and take the hoop off the machine. And you can see it's got all the lettering done, so there's only one more step left. And that is to place the two pieces for the back. These are folded pieces. Here's the fold at this end. Now, I'm going to tell you to place them a certain way. And then after I have placed them, I'm going to tell you why I wanted them placed a certain way. Because a lot of you will just say, okay, the last two pieces, I know what you do, that you just put them down with the folds in the middle and you stitch it. Well, I want one of the pieces to go at the bottom first. The fold is pointing towards the center of the hoop, and I just kind of lined it up down here. There's not really a specific placement the pieces will cover. Then you're going to take the remaining piece with the fold going towards the inside of the hoop so that these two pieces, they're going to overlap about an inch or more. Okay, they're overlapping here. Now there's a reason I want the bottom piece down first, then put the other piece on the top. I designed this so that when it stitches the last step, and what it's going to do, it's going to stitch around here in a rectangle to get this back piece put on. I designed it so that it's going to start here, stitch down, come over that fold a little bit, go back up. That way the foot, as it's traveling around, is not going to catch on either sides of that fold. Okay, so let me just get everything in place, make sure that it's in place here. I have black on the machine, and I don't want to use black for this last step. The reason is because my fabrics are light, and if I sewed it together with that black, you know, when it's done, you could possibly see it in the side seams. So I don't want black on there. I'm just going to switch now to a regular embroidery thread. I'm going to go with white. I could have chose cream or something, but when you are stitching in the hoop designs and you get to the construction step, as I like to call it, and that's what this is, it's putting the whole design together now. So I call it a construction step. And when it's at that point, you really want threads that match the fabrics you're using. Okay, so I got it all lined up. I'm going to get it back on the machine. And I hope you can see this, but like I said, when it starts, it's going to stitch down this way a little, then it's going to reverse and go back. And that way, we won't have to worry about it catching on that fold or this fold. And when this part stitches, I really like to hold this down or tape it down because you want these folded pieces, you want this one especially on the top, to be nice and tight, because if you get it loose, you're going to end up with something when it's done that might look like that. And I don't like that. Now it's going to come to the center, and that's another reason I wanted the two pieces placed the way they are, because different machines may not raise the foot. When the foot moves, it stopped here, it goes to the center. Some machines, the foot is down and it moves to the center, and if I would have had these pieces reversed, the foot would have went down into the fold because they would have been reversed. So now the design is done. It's ready to come out of the hoop. So we're just going to take it out. Let me move these things out of the way. Check again real quick to see if there's any questions. Yeah, you don't, Dawn, exactly. You don't need any tape. That's exactly why I did it. So let me go over that again. When you place the two pieces, as I say in the instructions, that way the machine will start to stitch about here. It's going to come down past the fold, then it reverses, and since this has already been stitched down, it's not going to catch, and it goes back around and it comes up past this fold again, so it's not going to catch at all. So really this design, you really don't need tape. So we're ready to start to trim. When I trim, I like to use a cutting mat and a straight edge. Now I could just use scissors, but you know, I like my work to be neat. So I'm going to measure out 1/4 inch from the stitching and trim through all layers. On one long side, I'm going to turn it to the other long side, measure out 1/4 inch. Whoops, I could tell it was off the ruler. And then I'm going to do the 2 short ends. Again, 1/4 inch. And get this last short end done. I think it's time for a new blade. All right, so now I have it trimmed a 1/4 inch. I need to take care of the corners. I'm going to use my scissors. I'm going to trim the corners. Some people like to either just cut diagonally. Some people like to actually trim the corner. Okay, so you can do it either way that you like, but you want to get some of the bulk out of there. And I was going to give you another tip, and I just remembered I forgot. So let me go back and do that. I don't have these small scissors, but what I like to do, and I forgot to tell you this, but on the back side you have stabilizer and batting. I like to take my scissors and first, before I trimmed around, and trim. I can still do it now. Carefully, you're going to trim very close the batting and the stabilizer only from that seam. Okay, see, all I'm trimming is batting and stabilizer. Let me go around this little corner and I'll try to show you a closer view of this. What this does is, see, it gets the batting out of that little corner. So when you turn it to the right side, you don't have all the bulk in there that you would have if you had not trimmed the batting out first. And then after I had trimmed the batting all the way around, I'd go back and do the little corners. But this is easier to do if you do it before you cut the long sides and the short sides. But you can see I can still do it. What I tell people in class a lot of times, you can fix just about anything in the hoop. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pretend that I did that first and I've trimmed all around. I got the batting out of the seam like I did on these 2 sides. Make sure my corners are all rounded or cut. Okay, and then you're going to turn it to the right side. Okay, it makes me mad that I forgot to trim that batting out, because when you do it in the hoop design, or any design really, you want it to look the best it can be. So I've turned it through the 2 flaps here on the back. I'm going to take a tool and I'm going to carefully push out my corners. Okay, you don't want to poke it and poke through, but when I do that, I'm also going to take this little ball at the top and see, as I'm running it along that seam, that pushes the seam out too. So look how nice this corner looks. See it on both sides. See how nice that corner looks? You want to do that all the way around, making sure that the corner get poked out really well. And again, I want to run the little ball at the end of this tool on that seam. What it's doing is it's pushing out the seam there. I like to take the big end too, and you can work in an area and get it pushed out well. But notice how nicely it rounds out a corner. Okay, so now once it's been turned, still not done yet, and I don't like that corner, so I'm going to go back to this one. This is part of taking your time to finish a project off nicely. Okay, now I would go to my regular iron at this point. The little Clover mini iron isn't, it's not large enough to do this. But I would go now to the ironing board and start to press this. But when I press, I like to press from the back side. And before I start, the seam here, you see the seam, I got my finger in here. I want to make sure the seam, the actual stitching, is right in the center here. I don't want to press it and have my back showing on the front, and I don't want to press it and have the back showing, the front showing on the back. So make sure your seam is where it's supposed to be. Put it down, take your iron, press, get it nice and warm. Then you take the clapper, place it over that seam, and hold it for a few seconds. That's all it takes. move to the other side. And again, make sure that you're not going to see your fold, your closure from the front side. Make sure that the seams are where they need to be. Get it nice and flat. Hold it down, press it with the iron, then come back and use the clapper and press it. The clapper, this is Angela Wolf's clapper. They're available on her site, angelawolf.com. It's the really, really handy tool. I use it for everything. And you would just keep doing the same thing, working around and pressing it so that it ends up looking really nice. I'm going to check to see maybe if there's a couple more questions, but the design now is done. And you can download it from embroiderygarden.com. And I want to thank you all for joining me today. And I hope to be doing some more videos like this if that's what you want to see. So thanks, everyone. Have a great day. I'll run back and try to answer some questions. Thanks.